Okay, so GTII ended up moving exactly the way we talked about last night. Let's go ahead and go over the potentials for the coming week now. What is up, you guys? Thank you so much for stopping by once again. This is ARCa coming at you with a GTII technicals, raw price action, and statistical thread of analysis on this happy Friday. Before we get started, please make sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share the video with a friend so that you and them could consider joining our trading community in Discord called ARCa Bulls. With that said, let's dive right into the charts. Okay, you guys, so we are looking at GTII on the 8-hour time frame here, and this is essentially what we were speaking of yesterday, right? We were talking about getting a push to the upside to essentially test the area of about 90 cents and then retrace back one more time to validate the area of 85 cents once again before we can get an upside. That is, you can see right here, this is Thursday the 22nd, and this is Friday the 23rd, okay? So this is exactly what happened, right? We got that red candle, came all the way back down to validate that 85 cent zone that we were talking about, got the push to the upside to test 90 cents again, and the retracement, right? So this is literally what we spoke of. We said that we could be in a chop zone here, and we're going to just, we're going to need some validations here before we can continue on to the upside. The reason we talked about 85 cents down here was in respects to this falling wedge, right? This falling wedge is essentially why we were able to see that we can retrace back to that zone before a push to the upside, right? So another thing to notice here is that the price action at 88.01, we are currently right at the 2.618 golden mean. Okay, so this, as long as we're below it, is going to be a little bit of a strong resistance, but we still have the chance to kind of succeed the upside of it. So we're gonna go ahead and evaluate all those things in this video. Okay, so let's go ahead and touch down for another reason as to why that 85 cent zone is very important to us. Okay, not only for this, not only because the triangle is located down there, but because the Gaussian channel on the 3-day time frame has that 85 cents very much down here. Okay, so this is the 3-day candle that we're currently on, right? This is a new candle, right? This one printed just a couple days ago. So you can see that this we're actually in the process of trying to close our first candle inside of the Gaussian channel. Actually since we came outside of it, right? So it's been a couple of weeks now, so it's looking okay. All right, so in this case, we want to maintain ourselves above 85 cents to maintain this inside of this channel here, because if we do that, then the upside targets can start looking pretty nice for GTII. Okay, the last thing we want to do is actually get a little too bullish here, because we're still kind of in this we're still in this area to where we need to validate some supports. Okay, so now coming into the next chart here, this is in regards to volatility versus momentum, right? So 8-hour time frame. Hang on, I thought I heard my little boy outside yelling. You can see here that the 8-hour time frame does have a little bit of a downside here, but that sometimes it's hard to trust that, right? Because it's not enough of an influence here for us to get a downside here. In fact, if we look at the 12-hour, we can still have an upside there, right? There you go. So 12-hour time frame upside. Very likely the daily has an upside too. Bi-daily probably has that same upside as well, and the 3-day probably has that upside too. Now, okay, great. So we do have a few time frames of stochastic momentum suggesting that upside even still. Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the next chart and see what we have, right? So if you guys, if you don't remember, this is essentially an ascending channel that we're riding, right? I was able to discover this just recently, and we also noticed that we're at the very bottom side of this formation, okay, which would indicate that we would start essentially making an ascent here. But of course, we have to validate these moves. We have to make sure to keep price action in mind, keep catalysts in mind, overall sentiment, and all that good stuff, right? So let's move on to the next chart and see what we have. This would be the last part of the analysis here, guys. Please notice that the 30-minute immediate short-term time frame is suggesting a little bit of a pullback here, but we would essentially find support from that SMA 14 represented by the pink line, right? So remember, 30-minute time frames kind of pass pretty fast. So now moving into the bi-hourly time frame, please notice here that we did come back down to validate or to use this SMA 14 as a guide, and we are very much experiencing an upside here. And not only just it's not just any upside. We're currently sitting in the gravitational zone of the bull strength, of the bull weakness percentile. Okay, so this would be bull strength up down here, and this would be bear strength, and yes, bear weakness. Okay, so yeah, we have the RSI signal sitting within that gravitational zone. Very likely for this to get pulled to the upside, thus influencing the upper time frames from here, creating that cascading effect, that domino effect, right? So now let's move on to the 4-hour time frame. You can see here that we actually have that same, very similar pivot here as the bi-hourly, right? As I'm telling you, it's just you'll see the similar pivots because we are cascading into each other, right? So that's just how it happens, you guys. So now naturally you'll see the 4-hour bleed into the 8-hour, right? 6 and 8 hour, and the 8-hour would naturally bleed into the 12-hour and to the daily. That's why you have those very similar iterations, right? These fractals here, they look very much the same, right? So yeah, 8-hour time frame suggesting that upside as well. Upside on that SMA 14. We're still getting an upside pivot, or we're now getting an upside pivot on the 12-hour time frame. That's looking good. And the daily time frame is also getting an upside pivot as well. Okay, so this is not bad whatsoever. Okay, so let's just look at price action real fast here and see what we can do. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. We need to we have a serious inflection point, not only at 90 cents, but we also have another one located right in the area between 96 and $1. Okay, so those are the three zones that we would actually have to get over in order for us to kind of validate a continuation to the upside. But I mean, thus far, the charts are saying that we have kind of a green flag to continue on to the upside. However, it is conditional upon us validating these resistances, right? So, or closing upside of the resistances, that is. Okay, you guys, so please remember first and foremost that I am not a financial advisor. Take whatever I do show and iterate within these videos as just a form of entertainment, as I cannot suggest for you to buy, sell, or hold any assets whatsoever. I need you to do your own due diligence and everything will be cool, okay, you guys? But with that said, I wish you well a very, very good weekend, and I will catch you at the bell on Monday. Adios.